Thanks, Jerry. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here and give you a bit of a snapshot of the Gold Road story. We'll start off, disclaimer as usual, and a bit of a rundown of what I'll talk about today. So, quick corporate overview. We released our resource and reserve update yesterday, so we'll give a rundown on that. A bit of an update where Gruyere is at in terms of its construction, and how we went last year and what we're planning to do this year. This will be the main focus of the talk. I want to talk about geology and how we developed our drill plan for 2018. And then I'll finish on, with a slide on Cygnus, the Cygnus joint venture down in the southwest. So, Gold Road, we have a market cap of just over $700 million. The gold our share price is around about 80 cents, and you can see that nice steady rise from the discovery of Gruyere. Oops, wrong button. Just down here. There's the board there. The latest addition is Brian Levitt. He's a very experienced exploration geologist from Newmont, and has brought that to the group recently, which we're benefiting from. So, Yamar, we're in WA, we're in the Yilgarn Craton, and we have 11,000 square k's of highly prospective tenements. We discovered Gruyere in 2013, and we joint ventured that with Goldfields. We brought that to feasibility study prior to the announcement of the joint venture, and it's a large-scale open-pit mine being built out in the middle of the desert. When it's up and running, it'll be 270,000 ounces per annum. It has a long mine life and low cash costs. We're well funded, we have no debt, and we have a big budget this year. So last year we spent a similar amount, about $24 million. This year we're budgeted to spend about $22.5 million across at Yamana. Yamana is here, just to the east of Laverton, and our Cygnus joint ventures down at the southwest, just there. So, what's compelling about Yamana? Yamana is way out to the east in the Yilgarn. You can see the main belts here, which have had well over 100 years of exploration and mining. Serious exploration at Yamana has really only been going on in the last 30 to 20 years. And there has been no mining, but however, we've done a little bit of pre-strip at Gruyere, and we've also done a bit more grade control recently. So we're getting close to having some mining. So we believe these large belts here, 40 million ounces at Laverton, we've got 6.5 million ounces at Yamana. We believe that will grow. In terms of the mineral resource and ore reserve update, we have managed to update the reserves this year by about 6%. We've had maiden resources on our Attila and Alaric pits. So we're just focused here on the Gruyere joint venture. There's Gruyere there. So Gruyere had a minor increase to reserve just due to mostly pit design work. But we've managed to get Alaric and Attila into reserve this year for around about 180,000 ounces. In terms of resource, we actually had an overall decrease, and they were due to a minor decrease at Gruyere, where we had some deep drilling last year, which dropped the grade slightly. Also changes to the modifying factors in terms of the pit slopes. When you have such a deep open pit optimisation, those minor changes have an impact. We also removed Central Bore, which was a historic resource from resource. However, it still remains a hot exploration target. So the other resources we brought onto the books were Yam 14, 8 kilometres to the south of Gruyere, and brought in Argos and Montaigne along the 14-kilometre long Attila-Alaric trend. So that trend there now has around about 600,000 ounces in resource, and we're pretty sure that's going to grow. So this is just an isometric of Gruyere, just to give you a feel for how big and important this project is to Gold Road. The porphyry itself is the host of the gold mineralisation. It's 90 metres wide at its widest point, and we have drilled it down to over 1 kilometre below surface with an EIS funded hole, and confirmed the continuation of the geology and the mineralisation. However, the reserve and resource at surface, it's about the reserve is 1.8 kilometres long, 0.9 wide and 385 metres deep. And then the resource, similar dimensions, but goes down over 600 metres. So we have started pre-strip. This is getting material ready for this tailing, getting material for building the project, such as the tailings dam. We came out into the hanging wall here, and here's Jane, our principal resource geologist, and Clayton, our exploration manager, out in the high phosphorus volcanoclastics, which just sit in the hanging wall out here. I'll just mention, while we're on this slide, one of the holes we drilled last year up in the north end here, 40 metres at 2.5 grams. We've done a conceptual study which indicates there's potential for that to be economic, but because of the mine life, we don't need to drill that for probably another 5 to 7 years. So there's potential underground resource growth in the future. Okay, just a few photos of where the construction's at. Here's the all-weather airstrip and the 600-man camp. I think there's probably 400 to 500 people there at the moment. Very busy building the project. This is a sealed runway. This is the primary crusher chamber and the processing plant with the tanks underway. So as at the end of last year, the engineering was 72% complete, and everything seems to be in line with budget. So we'll be pouring gold in the first quarter of 2019, and then we'll ramp up to 270,000 ounces a year. Okay, so how did we go last year? We were very happy with the program last year. We managed to get to quite a few areas. We did quite a bit of drilling, 167,000 metres. We did plan to do more, but with our air core drilling, we had some land access issues we needed to work through, and we have done that and have got those areas available for us this year. But with our bedrock testing, we were very successful, and we've got a lot of targets that have come out of this to follow up, and we'll go through those soon. But what I want to show here in particular, this is from the north end of the leases at Ibanez, an intersection 8.2 at 11.6 with a very tight 3.3 metres at 27.5. The intensity of deformation and alteration in that intersection is unlike anything we've seen at Yamana so far, and that 3.3 metres has very fine gold spread throughout the intersection, so it's really encouraging. So another thing to cover off on before we move on to the 2018 plan is that we have purchased our South Yamana joint venture tenements from Sumitomo, who we had a great working relationship with, and we now have those tenements under our 100% control. So that means we can spend the portion of the budget over the entire lease holdings in the manner that we think best suits the targets. Previously, under the joint venture agreements, we were somewhat constrained by how much money we could spend on the southern leases, but now we're able to really give this area a crack. And particular targets which you'll see come up will be at Smoke Bush. We've got 67 metres at 3.1 grams there, and 7 metres at just over 30 grams. And also at Toppin Hill, 12 metres at 4.5, that will form part of the program next year, and we'll be hoping to really understand the geological controls on those deposits. Okay, so for 2018, as I've said, we've got one of Australia's largest greenfields exploration projects on the boil. We've found one world-class deposit. We think we can find plenty more. So this year we're looking at drilling about 165,000 metres with a budget of 22.5 million. Most of that will be spent on the big blue. So all these blue lease holdings, there's about 5,000 square kilometres. and also another 1,000 up on the Throstle project up here, which will be a very early stage project. On the joint venture, so the joint venture is the small 144 square kilometre leaseholdings here with Goldfields. We will be just looking to continue that development of near mine resources and reserves. So with the leaseholding this size and this number of projects and this amount of smoke, how do you objectively prioritise all those targets? Because obviously what you want to do is focus on the ones that are most likely to succeed. And what we've done over the last 2 summers is have a bit of fun, as well as be serious and do some really good geology. So what we do over the summer months is bring the geologists in, not only to get away from the sun, but out in the desert, but also the rain can get in the way of things as well this time of year. But not only the geologists, we also want to engage our field techs in all the team building exercises, and also get them involved in the drill planning process, because we're one team. We do training, we have workshops, and we have plenty of social events as well. We recognise that we're a young company, but with the mine life at Gruyere on paper, and then the mine life of Yamana that's not on paper, we believe we're going to be around a long time. So we're actually starting to develop a company culture, which is something we've worked on over the summer. Part of that culture is how we define ourselves, but it's also about geology. So we've spent last year on several projects to advance our geological understanding. So the other thing we do during the summer of fun is the targeting and ranking process, and we'll go into and then how that's prioritised and turned into the drill plan. Another important aspect of this is peer review. So right from our non-executive director Justin Osborne to Brian Levitt, right down to the graduates, everybody's involved in that process. This is Duncan and Tom, 2 of our graduates, and they've spent the time with a lot of great geologists, sharpening pencils and doing a lot of colouring in. And we're producing some fantastic maps as well. This is the team. We've got around about 20 geos, we've got 30 fieldies, but most importantly, we've got these guys, our chefs. If anyone comes to Yamana, and we'll be happy to have you, I think you'll find that we have probably the best remote exploration camp, or probably mining camp food that you'll find anywhere. So as I said, we've been doing a lot of work on the geology. It's extremely important to understand the controls to mineralisation. So this map, we finished this map in December last year. We did this map as a collaborative project with Oliver Krautzer from Concept to Discovery. He spent a lot of time on site, and he's looking at core, and he spent a lot of time with the geos. But into this map, he also incorporated their local project maps. So it's not just bringing the consultant, get a map, it's actually working with the team and getting the best result. Also, as part of the process, we established the first drafted stratigraphic column, or maybe the third drafted, sorry, and that takes in the understanding of all that geology. Of course, as soon as you do a map, it's out of date. We're up to version 4 or 5 of this stratigraphic column now. Part of that is we're starting to do a lot more age dating to get an understanding of how the rocks fit together. And so we make sure we do our targeting with discipline. We have a milestone approach from our early stage projects to milestone 3 is where we're doing most of our work. Milestone 1, geophysics. Milestone 2 is where we get our air core anomalies defined, and then 3 into the bedrock mineralisation. So we make sure we use this in everything we do, and we ask the questions to make sure that we're comfortable we're moving projects on from milestone to milestone. So out of that, how we do that, each project, we ask a lot of questions about the geology to make sure we're understanding, we're ranking them objectively. They go into a database. Each of those targets gets a score, and then we get a map of the high ranking targets and which milestone they belong to. Our highest ranking targets, this is so increasing knowledge, how much we understand about the targets, and the best ones up on top. So these are our milestone 3s. We're going to progress these to resource drilling. Milestone 2s, so they're going to seed the next round of milestone 3 bedrock targets, and milestone 1. So these are the big areas on the lease package that have hardly a drill hole in them or no drill holes whatsoever. So we're really excited to get into those, and this is what the plan looks like going forward. So we've got diamond drilling and RC drilling, so mostly focusing on milestone 3 to start with. We start our air coal drilling up on milestone 2 to seed further milestone 3 targets. Then we get into our big milestone 1 camps. These are Romano, Corkwood and Bloodwood. They'll seed further milestone 2s, and in the meantime, what we hope we have done is to found something we can immediately start resource drilling, or we want to work up at least 10 bedrock targets that we can take into resource drilling into 2019. And finally, just to finish with Cygnus, and this is a really pleasing project to get into out in the southwest. We've got 3,400 square k's of tenements and another 1,600 application, but there's 250 kilometres of underexplored Yandina shear zone in those tenements, and we're really excited. And just talking to James from Cygnus this morning, they've released some exciting results. So just to finish up, we've got an amazing gold mine, a world-class development underway. We've got 11,000 k's of highly prospective tenements across the Yilgarn. We'll be making cash in 2019, and Gold Road is a fantastic investment opportunity. Thanks, Jerry.